Hello and welcome to the Dance Yourself Brave show, where we get real about the struggles dancers face, from confidence battles to self-doubt, and how dance has the power to make us braver, stronger, and more unstoppable in every area of life. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, founder of Brazili Fitness. And whether you're a seasoned dancer, a dance instructor, dance lover, or someone who's always wanted to dance but feels a little intimidated to start, this show is for you. Expect honest conversations, inspiring stories, and simple ways to bring more dance into your life, whether that's in the studio, on stage, or right in your living room. And if you're a dance instructor, we've got you covered with tips on how to grow your dance business, attract more students, and create a bigger impact through your passion for movement. So if you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, own your movement, and dance yourself brave, let's do this. Hello and welcome to the Dance Yourself Brave show. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, founder of Brazili Fitness, and I'm so excited that I have Stephanie Espinosa here with me. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
That's great to be here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, it's always great to talk to dancers and, hear about their journey. So let's, start with a little bit about you. So you've been teaching dance and performing arts for 25 years. So you know a thing or two about dance, right? And those years have been spent teaching at competitive dance studios, running dance departments at various private schools, teaching summer camps and after school programs, traveling around to be a guest choreographer, directing full children's theater productions, choreographing for professional dance companies. You also pride yourself in being a catalyst for inspiration and nurturing kindness and creativity, which I think is beautiful. And I want to talk all about that. So why don't we start a little bit? Tell us, about yourself, how you got started with dance. Let's start from the beginning.
My dance journey, just like a lot of dance journeys, started when I was 2.5, and my mom, put me in ballet class, and I just loved being on stage. I never had those, gosh, I'm going to be on stage. I was like, yes, put me on stage.
You're born to be on stage.
Yeah, I love it. I grew up dancing in a competitive dance studio. We weren't yet because competitive dance was still kind of new. So I didn't start competing probably till I was about 9 or 10, that we had a teacher come from up north, and she's like, well, we're going to start competing. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. I just thought, I do my dance in recital and that's it. And way back when competitions didn't have levels or anything, you basically just were up against everybody. But I loved it. And I lived in a small town, so every competition we went to, we had to travel. So that was always exciting because, you go out of town, you stay in a hotel, and, competition all weekend. It was probably not as fun for my poor little brother who had to watch dances all day, but I loved it. And then I went to college, and when I went to college, I actually took a very different track. I went into more fine arts. I did minor in dance, but that wasn't my goal at the time. And then when I graduated college, I was in the industry for a little bit and just realized, you know what? I still love dancing. And probably starting at about 15 or 16, my teachers at my studio noticed that I kind of had the thing for teaching. I was very nurturing to the younger students, so they already were kind of starting to teach me to be a teacher. They would bring me in as an assistant, and then my senior year, I actually got to teach my own little like 5 to 6 combo class. So I've been teaching since I was 17, 18, which not many teachers get to say that in general. Like, you don't become a math teacher at 17. So when I graduated college and I started in the industry I was in, I just realized I didn't want to sit at a computer all day. This really wasn't for me. And it just kind of led me back into teaching. And I just ran into an old friend, and she's like, oh, I opened a dance studio. I'm like, let me go teach a couple classes. And that started my professional career as a teacher. I did do some smaller performing, but really my heart was in teaching students and just teaching the love of art and the love of dance and the love of expression. Because ultimately, when you become a dance teacher, you hope for kids to be Broadway stars and all this, but really that's only a small portion of the kids we teach. Most of the kids that I've taught, yes, I have a few of those, but most of them are, teachers, they're doctors, they're dental assistants, and my hope is just to create good humans for the future.
Yes, I love that. Good humans for the future, no matter what path they choose, right? They
Yeah,
don't have to
exactly.
necessarily be dancers forever, right? But what they learn through dance definitely makes them better humans, I think. And that benefits the world, right? And where are you
Absolutely.
from? Where are you from?
I'm from Florida,
Okay.
and I still live in Florida. I
Okay.
actually live in a really cool town. We're called Babcock Ranch, and we are actually the US's completely solar powered town. First town.
Oh, wow. Very cool. So I know that you talked about like being on stage was supernatural for you, which, can be very daunting for some people, right? But I'm sure that you faced other kinds of struggles like along your dance journey. So let's talk about that. Like what was tough for you? What did you have to overcome? Maybe some fears and doubts?
Yeah, I'm very happy that the dance industry is changing. Definitely when I was growing up, I wasn't the typical ballet body. I have some curves. Even no matter how skinny I may have been, I still wasn't that typical body. And I'm shorter, so I always was on the end. So I think a lot of the struggle in my journey was definitely that I didn't feel like I fit the part. And being shorter definitely has its challenges. You have to meet everybody else. You have to jump just slightly higher than what everybody else is jumping. Your leg has to be stretched slightly higher just to make sure that we're all in the same line. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm really glad that we are more body positive now. And I feel that was a big struggle growing up, is that I just never felt like I really fit the mold. And I think that was part of my reason for maybe not pursuing a professional career, because I just kind of felt like I was always going to be super judged just based on my body and not my skill and what I did bring to the stage. So I think that was kind of something that in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what, maybe I don't want to be a professional dancer, which now we're so accepting of every body type, that if me 20 years ago might have pursued more of a professional career.
Yes, and I love seeing that shift as well with more body positivity because dance is for everybody, right? Everyone can dance, everyone can reap the benefits of dance. It's not for just certain people who look a certain way. I think that's the silliest thing. So, yeah, I love that you brought that up. And how do you think, like going through all of that, how has that shaped you, like as a person, and how does that affect your life today?
Well, definitely as a teacher, because I am always reminding kids, like, body positive. It's about being healthy, not necessarily, not being skinny, just being healthy. How are you treating your body? Definitely, that's another shift that we've been seeing, is we are treating dancers more like athletes now. So a lot of things have come, forward, like, let's not fall on our knees all the time. Let's, really make sure that we are teaching the proper skills when we're doing acrobatic tricks, elongating the spine, using the core, that kind of thing, rather than just, this is what you're supposed to look like, this is what your turnout's supposed to be. That was a huge challenge for me that I do tell my kids all the time. But when we talk about turnout, is I was extremely pigeon-toed as a child, and I went to doctors. They had braces on my legs, like a bunch of different things. And really, the thing that helped me was ballet class, learning how to actually rotate and working that rotation. My turnout is not like 90 degrees, 180 degrees, but considering where I came from, turned out pretty good. So that's definitely something that we're just treating our bodies differently now, because we're seeing, people my age are having to have hip replacements, knee replacements, and things. So, I'm constantly telling the kids, let's work on this, because I don't want you at the age of 30 to have to get a hip replacement, you know,
Yeah.
because they're not thinking about that. They're like, I'm 12, I bounce back, no big deal.
Yeah.
But really,
Mhm.
I constantly am reminding them the stuff that you're doing to your body now is going to affect you when you are my age.
Yes, you'll pay the price at some point, right?
Yes.
But what do you think that there's something that maybe your students don't know about you that maybe they'd be surprised to know about?
Probably because I try to be such a positive influence in their life and, my internal struggle with self-esteem. And really, that question I feel like could go with any teacher is that I wish kids would understand that all the struggles that they're going through as a kid, we went through. And maybe even worse, because like I said, the dance industry has shifted. We went through a lot of body shaming and things like that that most studios are trying to shy away from now. So something I don't want to tell them too much because I'm trying to be positive and uplifting, but just for them to understand that everything they're going through, we went through too.
Yes. Yeah. And that makes them relate to you more, right? And because you have more of that empathy, you know what their struggles feel like. I'm sure it was not easy for you to go through that as a kid, but it's shaped you into the teacher you are today, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure that even if you don't, tell your students that directly, I'm sure they feel it, right? Just with the way that you nurture them and your kindness and all of that, I'm sure they feel it.
Absolutely.
So, with all the students that you've taught, I'm sure you have so many like amazing stories of testimonials of, how you've impacted their life. But maybe you can share, one or two that come to mind, maybe something recent that stood out to you, something that someone just came up to you and like, oh my God, this happened because, you helped me with this.
So, one of the schools that I worked at was a school for special needs and behavioral students. And I worked with kids that were on the autism spectrum that some would never set foot on a stage. And I am grateful that our school offered a program that I ran, we did a big show at the end of the year. And maybe not the kids coming up to me, but to see the parents say, my child would never set foot on a stage. They have such social anxiety. To see them even go on stage and do step touch in unison, I mean, that warms my heart because that's may have been something that on their own, had they gone to, a different school, that they would have never considered taking a dance class. Definitely right now, I'm actually working with a student that I'm super proud of. She is legally blind now, but in a few years' time will be completely blind that she can't see even, like it'll be just black. She has a degenerative disease and she will be going next year to a special school to learn to live with blindness. And it's kind of like a boarding school. So this is actually her last year dancing at the studio. She's been dancing there since she was 5. She's 10 now, and she and her mom came up to the owner of the studio and said, kind of like a make a wish thing, that she's always wanted to dance on the dance team, and because of her ailment, it was kind of a struggle. And this is her last year. Can she do something? Uh, we talked about it, and there's a girl that's on the dance team that has the biggest heart, and we asked her if she would do a duet with her. And they're doing a duet. It so far just in rehearsal makes everybody cry.
I have to cry right now.
And the girl that she's dancing with suggested the song, and it's awesome. I found an acoustic version of Never Gonna Not Dance Again because she told me, she's like, I'm not going to stop dancing. I'm going to figure it out at my school. So she'll be going to her first competition ever in April. So we're super excited about that. And she's part of the team, and everybody's happy to have her on the team. It's going to be a really special moment for her. And so I'm super proud of that.
That is just like, that leaves me speechless because like there's nothing better than that feeling, right? That you're helping her in that way. And sorry, like my horoscope sign is Cancer, so I cry for everything. Like I'm that person who cries for commercials. So like,
I'm a Pisces, so I do the same thing.
but it's so beautiful to me, like just to see the impact that dance can have. And sometimes like we get so caught up in, perfect technique and, looking a certain way and flexibility this and, perfection that. And it's not what it's all about.
Uh, We do
Oh,
forget sometimes.
yeah. So I mean, I think it's very clear. Like my next question was what kind of impact you're making in the world, and I think that's summed it up. But is there anything else that you'd like to add to that you want to make a change in the dance world or just in the world in its entirety?
I just want to make one kid at a time, one student, I mean, adults too, just have kindness, empathy, acceptance, and be creative. If I do that for one kid, then I feel like my work has been done.
Because there's a ripple effect, right? So you help that one
Absolutely.
kid, how many people will that kid be impacting? So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And what do you think the world just needs more of nowadays? Like even like besides the dance world, but just like the world in general.
I mean, those things, and that's why I want to spread it as much as possible because, if we're just kind and we have empathy and we can accept each other, then the world would just be a little bit nicer and we could handle conflict a little bit better. So if I can do that for even a few kids, then I'm
Yeah.
happy.
You're definitely doing your part, and it's great because I think that that's what these kids need now more than ever. So to have amazing role models like you in their lives, like it's crucial. It's exactly what is needed. And what advice would you give to someone who's just starting to dance, or maybe they're curious about dance and a little bit scared? So let's think maybe about people who are like a little bit older listening to this podcast, and they're interested, but they're a little bit intimidated. What would you say?
It's funny, like I've taught all ages and especially with adults, I'll always get the dance. I could never do that. I don't have any rhythm. I would never. Dance is more about it's more than the skills, it's more than the tricks, it's more than the technique. It's an art. In art, it's just about expression, and there's never a right and wrong when it comes to how you express yourself. So I just say, try something new, go for it. I love telling this story. I taught at a studio and I had a boy, and he was the only boy in a competition team of like 60 girls. And he was a like competitive soccer player. And when he was about, I would say like 13, his sister danced at the studio, and he came in and took some classes just in theater. So this studio is a performing arts theater and a performing arts school. And so he took some theater classes and they did a show. And he's like, wow, I kind of like dancing in the show. So then he started taking classes. And then he became our boy on the competitive team. And he went on to graduate and he's now at a performing arts university. It's crazy. He was a competitive soccer player. He would have never started to dance. Once you get that bug does not go away. So I just say anybody who wants to try, just go for it. Try something new.
So it's interesting because I just interviewed Michael Fortin, who was on the show last week, and
Oh, wow.
from May. Do you know him?
It sounds familiar.
He started dancing when he was 13, and he was a soccer player before that. And he just,
Oh,
yeah, so I was like, wait, is it the same guy? And I was like, no, he's from Maine. I don't think
no, no.
that's such a
My student, he's only in his like, I think he's like 21 now. He's in his early 20s.
okay,
Um,
okay.
I think a lot of boy journeys start that way. They start later. I know a lot of professionals I hear on podcasts, they're like, oh, my journey started when I was 15. Some even start like they go to college for something and then take a dance class in college, don't even start until college.
Yeah,
I think a lot of boys start that way because, there's still kind of a stigma. It's getting better, but there's still kind of a stigma.
Yeah, and that's what he talked about, how, the challenge of being a boy and starting to dance and being the only boy and feeling a little
Mhm.
excluded. Yeah, definitely different struggles for everyone, right? No matter who
Absolutely.
you are, there's going to be something that life is going to challenge you with, and you're going to have to face it and grow from it, right? And I know like my husband teaches dance, and that like we dance together, and I met him actually taking his dance class when I went to Brazil. And in Brazil, it's like if you go to especially dance fitness classes, it's usually men teaching. So it's like
Yes.
completely different. And it's just accepted that dance is just part of the culture and not as much stigma as there is, in North
Yes,
America.
absolutely.
So, but I, like you said, I think it is changing for the best. I think like we're on the right track, but there's definitely some things that could still be improved.
Mhm.
So what about, okay, so I'm sure people want to get in touch with you and maybe take classes with you. So you can share how they can reach out, like social media, website.
And so you can find me on Instagram. I'm at dancing, I'm sorry, DANCINGGB. And you can always email me. I do guest choreography, I do master classes. My husband's actually a personal trainer, and we work closely together on putting together conditioning specifically for dance, recovery for dance. You can email me at Stephanie C. Espinosa, STEPHANIE, the letter C is in cat, Espinosa, ESPINOSA, at gmail.com. And those are the best ways to reach me.
And of course, you can find all of that information in the show notes. So it's easy access, just copy and paste, click, and you'll be able to reach out to
Yep,
Stephanie. And I love that you're, a husband and wife duo, like my husband and I. So it's always important, right? To have similar passions and directions in life, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I love hearing your whole story, and like you saw that you literally brought me to tears with the impact that you're bringing to the world. It's so beautiful, and I hope you continue to inspire people for years and years to come.
I so appreciate being here. I'm so excited for this to be a thing.
Yeah. So I couldn't have this show without amazing guests like you. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
So if you're tuning in for the first time today, make sure that you subscribe to our channel, leave a review, share this with someone who might be inspired by Stephanie's message today, and make sure that you keep dancing yourself brave. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Dance Yourself Brave show. If today's episode got you hyped, inspired, or just made you want to bust a move, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear today's message. Sharing is caring after all. And hey, don't forget, your courage is already in you. Sometimes you just gotta dance it out to feel it. Catch you next time, keep shining, and keep dancing yourself brave.